just a little bit of a non-copyrighted Rocky theme here that we've got going on. So we're going to get started here in a few minutes. All right. Follow me and I will help you get free. That's my ironclad guarantee today. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Alive Power Hour. This is your host, Santos Rolon Jr., straight out of Stockton. And this is episode 116. We have Jim out of Tucson, Arizona, in the house with us today. So I look forward to his sharing. And what's on your mind today, my fellow soldier? How can we bring some light into your darkness today? Because that's what this program's all about. We are going to be planting some good seed into your garden and around you. So we're looking forward to this episode. Once again, this is episode 116. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing about the perfect timing that we are in today that you and I can take advantage of to help ourselves go forward. So let's get started. All right, my good friends, my fellow soldiers, I'm looking forward to this episode. Again, this is episode 116. Before we get started, we're going to read the proverb of the day. This is very interesting because this proverb really touches my heart. And actually, this is a proverb, Proverb 110. It says, "My son, if sinners consent thee, or my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not." In other words, don't give in. And verse 8 also says, "My son, listen to the instruction of thy father," or hear the instruction of thy father, "and forsake not the law of thy mother." Those are two proverbs straight out of the book of Proverbs, and they kind of get you to think about, well, they get me to think about where I am today and what I'm listening to. So a little bit of house cleaning before we go forward. I want to say my condolences to the families of families that are losing loved ones due to this COVID-19. And that's part of the topic, because COVID-19 has us in an atmosphere today that going forward is probably going to make a lot of changes in the lives and businesses, everyday living. How could we take good advantage of this time? It's a special time that we're in today. So my condolences to the families. It's a tragic thing that's happening, and we definitely have to stay strong. We have to be vigilant, and we have to be conscientious of what's happening around us. Of course, we should be vigilant and conscientious every single day, not just in this time period. But I think we have to raise our awareness more because of the time that we're in. We're going to be doing a book giveaway. In fact, I got a couple of books. I got some small journals. They're just little journals that I have. I kind of like the topics, if you can see. Be bold. I know this might look a little bit feminish, or I got this. So we are going to be doing the book giveaway. If you're interested, the numbers are going to be 1 through 55. Let me see, 1 through 55. All right, I've got another book here that I think we got. And then I'm also going to be giving away my partner, Coach Cephas. I call him Journeyman. We call ourselves Journeyman here. Either one of these books or journal I'm going to be giving away with when you donate, support this mission. And I do want to thank Laura. I want to thank Nahil, and in particular Jim, who's with us today. I want to thank you for supporting this mission. I truly, truly appreciate you. It means a lot. It truly does mean a lot to me. It means a lot to Cephas and to those that are working with me. So I want to thank you for supporting this mission. And last but not least, subscribe. In the chat area, I have our subscription. We have an email that goes out weekly, 1 or 2 emails a week. I believe they're very, very good emails. If you like to do a little bit of reading, my emails are not really big emails. They're not long emails. So I'm encouraging you to subscribe. And there's a free gift for you when you do subscribe. All right, my fellow soldiers, we're going to get started here. And before I do, I want to welcome a few of our guests, a few of our members here that are with us. Nahil, welcome to the episode. Wilson, welcome. And I'm sure there's going to be a few more people here joining us today. So Jim Yumoto from Tucson, Arizona is with us. We're going to pick his brain a little bit. And I'm going to take your questions. We'll take your questions. If you got an observation, you've got some kind of a darkness going on in your life that you're looking for a solution. You're looking for that good seed. We're going to see what we can do on this episode to help us, challenge us, and challenge you at the same time. All right. So, Jim, I have a question here. And this is, how could this be perfect timing for reflection? This day that we're living in right now with this COVID-19, this coronavirus, and there's a lot of controversy going on with that. I'm not going to get into that in this video, in this live stream. And I really want us to focus on what we can draw out from this time and what we can do to help ourselves go forward, because it is a little bit of a different day we're living in today. And it's kind of pushing all of us. This time, this period, it's pushing us. And of course, we're all different. We've all got different things going on. But I believe that this is perfect timing for us to do something. And we can definitely take advantage. So how could this time that we're in, Jim, what do you think about this? Because it is causing people to make some very, very drastic changes. And again, we're talking about addiction. We're talking about self-development. We're talking about mind shifting. What do you think, Jim? What would you say here about this time that we're living in? Well, we're not going to get into how we could take advantage of it, but how could this be the perfect timing?
Well, I believe that this show helps us really give us the opportunity to develop some awareness, right? And, we have like an infinite number of choices that we can make, in the way we perceive things, and I think that we can go and be aware that this coronavirus deal can help us become really kind of grateful of the things that we have, like our health. I mean, it sounds pretty scary to have this thing moving around and killing people, making people sick, but it can go and put things into perspective. It's like life is, something that we shouldn't take for granted. We have to appreciate the things that we do have. We still have the ability to move around, at least where I'm at, and function fairly normal. Some people don't, It's interesting. Your mind kind of latches on. You can latch on to the fear, gloom and doom, or you can latch on to the idea of being grateful, and it's kind of a choice that we need to make, and it could be the fuel to move us in a direction. We have to make a choice. Which direction do we want to move in? I mean, can we use this like disease as an opportunity to help us develop ourselves in a better way, or are we going to have this disease, this thing, drag us down and just make us into a nervous wreck? It's going to be our choice. So we have to kind of be aware of the path we want to take. Which path do we want to take? Instead of getting caught up in all this, we need some time. I think today Trump, said that today was a day of prayer. Today's a day of prayer.
Oh,
and it's a good opportunity to kind of meditate reflect on, the situation that we do have, and where do we want to go, right? Which direction do we want to move in? And yeah, it could be the fuel to push us in the direction that can be positive if we make that conscious choice. If we are intentional about that direction.
Exactly. That's some there's some great points that you just made. We're gonna dig into that a little bit more. By the way, if you are here and you have a question, you got an observation, post it. We're gonna do our best to look at what you've got going on. And we are going to, like I said, we're planting good seed in your garden. Okay, that's our goal here. At Sunday Night Alive Power Hour, our goal is to put more light into your darkness. The more light that you have, obviously, whenever you turn on the light, darkness has to go, right? You can't have darkness and light at the same time. One of them is going to overpower the other. So that's our goal here, to help you as we help ourselves, because we really need to look at the situation. I believe that it's a different time. We go back to these other viruses and different things that were happening in the past. Today everything's a little bit more advanced. There's going to be people that unfortunately throw their hands in the air. They're going to focus on the negatives, and they're just going to go. Some people are just going to go deeper into the hole. That's what's going to happen. I don't know. I haven't heard of any casinos shutting down. They might be shutting down. I don't know of anything of that nature. I don't pay too much particular attention to that. But this is a really good time. It is a really good time for us to, it's a special day. It's a very, very special day. It's an unusual time. And like Jim says, this is a time where we can reflect. And in fact, most people are going to be reflecting because there's a lot of quarantine going on. Right here where we live in the San Joaquin area, we have 8 cases. My father's been, I placed my father in a facility about 2 years ago. His facility's on close down as of Friday. I take care of his laundry. I go visit him. I'm the only son. It's going to be hard for him. He has a little bit of dementia going on, so he may not fully comprehend, but it is affecting us. It's causing us to kind of really narrow in on where we are in life. And I believe that's a good thing, right? That is a good thing, because it's like if we didn't have this special atmosphere, we probably wouldn't be doing these things. Sadly, most people, they're just going about life. But right now we're being forced to really look at things. And like Jim said, it's a time for us to really look at the how delicate life is. And not only that, for us problem gamblers, well, I shouldn't say I'm a problem ex gambler, but for those of you that are still problem gambling, this is going to put you in a spot where you can really, really begin to look at your life. And believe me, there is, as dark as it is, as dark as this time period is, it is an opportunity. It is an opportunity. Do you believe that, Jim?
Sure. It's interesting. There's a lot of people who like to criticize those who are going to the Walmart and buying all this kind of stuff, toilet paper, disinfectant, food. But really, I mean, hey, maybe now they're realizing that it's time to start thinking about being ready, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being ready for whatever's going to be coming down the pipeline. I mean, if you get caught up in the news, you listen to the problems with our financial system, this disease. I mean, stuff happens, and it's a good wake up call for people to start getting organized, with their life, their household. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity, like you said. I mean, hey, that's what I'm doing. I'm thinking now. It's like, okay, wow, I sense kind of like trouble maybe brewing. So I am going to be more conscious of what I should have in my house. like food, water, self-defense, learning that kind of stuff. I just bought a firearm. I'm going to go and learn how to use it, because, hey, I got to learn how to protect myself and my loved ones, So, I mean, we can always use, that's what I like about my thinking nowadays. This show is, you're really becoming aware of how we all have power over our thoughts and our minds and our reality. We can actually use every single situation to our advantage to helping ourselves. I mean, for me, sometimes it's kind of a negative thing to think about. But when people die, when I know people who die, pass away, or get sick, it's actually, something that benefits me, because it awakens my thinking, my appreciation, my gratitude, and say, hey, you know what? These people are gone, but I still have a chance. And I have an opportunity to better myself and better other people, and it kind of wakes you up. It's like, wow, I can go and use this as a tool. So that's amazing. Anything, that you encounter in life, even on the surface that seems negative, you can actually turn it around and use it to your advantage. Like this coronavirus thing, you can actually use it as a tool, a helpful tool. It's amazing, and that's pretty inspiring, and it gives hope, to any circumstance. You can actually turn it around.
Yeah, it's I when this virus started coming out and it started spreading over there in China, and then it looked like it jumped over into Iran, and it jumped over into Italy, and it's kind of an unusual. I've been saying this. I'm as a YouTuber, I check out YouTube videos. I subscribe to other channels, and they subscribe to me. I'm always leaving comments because I always try to leave a comment because I know that comments help. They impact people's lives. By the way, I want to thank you guys for leaving comments also, because you may not realize, but your comment is impacting people's lives around the world. Just a simple statement. Before we go further, I want to acknowledge Linda Pettigrew. I want to acknowledge Rafael Vargas and Suzanne. Welcome to episode 116. It's not hard for me to believe. Episode 116, and then there's Adelaide, and so I want to thank you guys for being here today with us. This program challenges me. Anything that's difficult, we should really not run from. Unfortunately, we're used to running from difficult things, but I think that we really, really need to start thinking about these difficult things that we have in our lives. In particular, these addictions that we have. Doesn't necessarily have to be problem gambling, because addictions can be, we all have addictions. I have addictions that sometimes I'm not even aware of. And as we continue to grow, as we continue to plug in to sources like this program right here, I said in the beginning, if you follow me, I will help you get free. That's my ironclad guarantee. Now, you have to do your part, though. Right? I'll do my part. If you'll do your part, I'm going to help you, because I'm way ahead of some of you that are still gambling. I'm way ahead of you. So I can ironclad my guarantee that I'll help you get there, but you got to do your part. So this time that we have, it is like, I believe it was Suzanne that said, no, Linda, it's a good time for us to come home, stay home. If we have to quarantine, I haven't been quarantined yet. Hopefully, we don't know. We don't know where this mysterious coronavirus is going to go and how it's going to move. But we definitely see that it has entered the United States, and it is crawling around like a snake, and we don't know where it's going to hit or what it's going to impact. I have several family members that I'm very concerned about: a brother, a sister, a mother, and a father, and also my wife. So I have to be very vigilant. I have to be more vigilant. I have to be more conscientious. And that's what I'm warning people. I'm really warning people to be more. And this is the time to do it, my friend. If you're going to quit gambling, if you're going to stop doing some kind of an addiction that you have a problem with, now is the perfect timing to really begin to dig deeper into this. Also, we do know that due to this pandemic, there's going to be changes there's changes being made now that are going to be consistently kept even after this thing is gone. There's going to be major changes, and it's going to impact our lives. It's going to impact our lives. So I want to take a question and an observation from our guests here, our fellow soldiers, and see if you have something for myself or for Jim. For Jim. And my friend, who was it? I was listening to a bodybuilder earlier. Not that I'm into bodybuilding that much anymore. I think that's my past. But you got to squeeze the juice out of the lemon. You got to squeeze the juice out of the orange. Whatever it is that you have in front of you that is good, you must squeeze the juice out of it. Right now is the time to be doing that. Automagic, welcome. Jesse, welcome. Let me see. Suzanne says, I will be stocking up this week. Thank you for that advice, Raphael. Sean, Raj, good evening, my fellow soldier out there in Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to the program. If you have a question, let me see. Jesse has a question here. Have you ever been ripped off? You go to the casinos, you will soon feel it after you leave. Yeah, I don't know if the casinos. I'm sure that some casinos are being closed. I know that in China there is I don't know, Jim. You might know China. There's a place there. Is it Macau, where it's full of casinos? They've closed that whole area down. I guess that's like the Las Vegas of China, and that whole entire area has been closed down. But these casinos are going to push it to the limit, and I'm thinking about people that go into these casinos. They're taking a risk because, again, we don't know. We don't know. Look at Senator. I don't know if you know who Senator Ted Cruz is. Nice man. He's a politician, but he's got an issue going on. And what about this other guy that I just read about? The Tom Hanks and his wife both tested positive out in Australia. So we've got all of these things happening, and we really, like I said, we really need to take advantage of this time and be more vigilant. A good time for soul searching, good time for soul searching. And I'm gonna bring up a topic here because I believe this is very important. I have noticed something more and more in the comments, and with those of you that are struggling, I've noticed I'm paying attention to what you're saying and what you're saying in the comments, your self-talk. This is a very good time to really take advantage of this thing called self-talk, where you can really, really begin to reflect on what you're saying to yourself and what you're saying to others. What do you think about that, Jim? Our self-talk. Do you think our self-talk plays a major role in this time that we're in?
Yeah. What you choose to say about yourself, is going to move you in a certain direction. It's interesting. Where your mind starts latching onto, it's going to try to find justification for that kind of thinking. If you feel that you're a loser, and the universe is out to get you, your mind is going to start trying to basically justify those kinds of thoughts. It's going to be looking for things. I think that's what was it? Psycho-cybernetics, right? Maxwell Maltz talks about, the mind is, it searches for stuff, and what are you thinking about, and your mind's going to go towards whatever you're thinking about. I mean, what is that? If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. Right? Your mind's just going to justify it. So why not choose to think about things that will do you good, that will be positive for you, right? Decide about doing that, and then let your mind start searching for those things that will establish or support, what your beliefs are. If your beliefs are, what, I'm a non-gambler. I don't like gambling. Gambling sucks. Gambling takes out all my money. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. you start saying those kinds of things, listening to yourself. You know, alcohol's no good for me. Drugs are no good for me. You know, watching stupid cartoons on YouTube, it's a waste of time. You know, you say this kind of stuff out loud, and your mind will start grappling. You know, just looking for those things that will justify that, and it will move you. You know, out of that pit. Towards a better direction. So really, really think about what you're saying to yourself. And choose wisely. It's interesting. When I got this gun, I'm afraid of it, really, because I don't know too much about it, right? And the reason why I'm so afraid of it is because you make one slight casual move, one way or the other. Sure, you can kill someone. You can shoot yourself. No, that's freaking dangerous, right? And that's how our lives can be, so casual, how we conduct our life. You just casually walk across the street without looking both ways. Guess what? You can just get run over. So we have to be very mindful of what we choose to think about, because those thoughts can leave us in a direction where we can find safety or get run over. Find a better place or find the pit. Right. So yeah, the word is important. We got to go out and have good self-talk that moves us in the right direction.
That's one of the key things that I would emphasize on this program is self-talk. In fact, Jim, you brought up that phrase, if you believe you can, or if you believe you can't, you're right. Either way, you're right. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can. You can't. So I've noticed in my own life over the last couple of weeks, I've been really reflecting on my own personal speech. I've noticed that certain words that I've taken out of my vocabulary have tried to crawl back into my vocabulary. And I've caught myself. Again, I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of writing. And when you self-reflect, you see these things. Yesterday, also, this is a time for us to evaluate the rituals that we're doing. So it's a good time to evaluate. Yesterday, I was at the dentist with my family. When we left the dentist, I was in my car on a phone call. I'm sitting in my car at Denny's in the parking lot, and there's a little Honda right in front of me. And I watched this Hispanic guy about my height walk up to the car, and I don't know what it was that he pulled out. It could have been a knife, or it could have been like an ice pick. But he stabbed one tire. He went back. He stabbed another tire. Then he went around the car and he stabbed another one. And right in front of me, I'm sitting there looking at this guy, and I'm thinking, my car was right next to it. I'm thinking, is this guy going to come over towards me? Because he saw me looking at him. Of course, I was on my phone. I wasn't trying to pay too much attention to him. I didn't want to make eye contact with this guy. So I thought for a minute there, I sat in my car and I'm thinking, if this guy comes out, towards my car, obviously I was going to get out because I carry pepper spray with me. I don't carry anything in my car except pepper spray. So I walk into the restaurant. There's a big thing going on. And then, a couple of American guys come out, and the guy's walking around, and it was just a weird experience. We get in the car. We drive down the freeway a little bit, and we got caught up in traffic. Right on the other side of the freeway, right next to us, right there. I didn't see this, but immediately after we left that Denny's, we got on the freeway, and there was a chase, and apparently the CHP or one of the police officers shot. They set this guy up that they were doing a chase with vehicles, and finally they shot the driver. They killed him. So that becomes a mess if you have a fatality on the freeway. If you've ever been in that situation, it was really, really bad. I mean, it was broad daylight. It was raining, and the freeway looked like it was a bunch of Christmas trees lit up with lights. And timing, we have to be vigilant. We have to be very, very conscientious of what's going on around us. And another thing that I want to share here is that now that we're coming home, and who knows if we might end up getting quarantined. I know some families are quarantined in their homes. You're going to have more access to the internet. We have to be careful because there's a lot of advertisement. There's a lot of temptation that will come into your home. And you and I must be vigilant. We must be vigilant. This is not a time for playing games, you know? And I know for me, I have to really, really reflect on myself. And that's what I'm encouraging people to do. Reflect, pay attention to what's being said, pay attention to what you're saying to yourself, because right now would be the perfect timing for you to turn your life around. And that's the way I see it right now. We've got a few, let me see. We've got a few people here. Numbers growing. Hey, Josephine, welcome to the program. Who else is on here? I see a lot of conversation. That's good that you guys are conversating. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions, or are we any observations? What about rituals? How important is it for us to be looking at the rituals? What type of seed are you planting? What type of seed are you planting? What are your rituals? And how important is that for us to be looking at this also? You know? What is it? Life, Rafael Vargas says life is a tool. Santos, life is a tool. Yes, and it's also an experiment, Rafael. I really believe life is an experiment. I mean, there's some really odd things going on the planet. In fact, you know, I don't know if you realize this, maybe you will today, but we're in the year 2020. I'm 53 years young. I know Jim is I think he's a little bit older than I am, maybe by a couple. But we are living in a very, very phenomenal time. This is, it's an unusual time. And of course, none of us knew we would be here today. You go back a year or two. I never thought that I would be in front of the computer on a Sunday. What is it, the 14th, the 15th? So this is a very, very unusual experience that we're all going through, the year 2020. We've got this virus. We've got all these things going on all around us. There's a battle. I call this the battle zone because the media, the propaganda, the advertisements, people, there's a clamor to get into your mind, right? There's a grab, and we have to be protective of, like they say, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So that's just my observations here. And what do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I guess you got to know who your enemy is. It's like for a lot of these people here, the enemy could be is the casino. Okay. So this is something that I like to think about. It's important to develop your imagination and visualization, and let your imagination, your goal, your focus, your vision, expand your imagination to help you. I mean, think about this. You know that the casino is your enemy. Imagine that an awful, nasty place with people who pick their nose, don't wash their hands when they go to the bathroom, right? We're talking about unsavory kinds of people. It's like, why the heck would I want smoking, coughing, probably has the coronavirus, right? Just imagine that kind of stuff going, well, I don't want to be here. This is a gross, nasty, filthy place that steals my money. This is disgusting. There's no way I'm going to go to this place. Right? You can just see it, just imagine them taking your money. Just imagine dealing with that filthy, nasty, germy money from unsavory people, drinking too much, smoking too much, not washing their hands, right? Gross. And you imagine this repulsive scene in your mind and use that as fuel to say, forget it, I'm not tempted anymore. I'm not going nowhere anymore. If you're into drugs, right? If your habit is drugs, let's say, you know what? These drug dealers, I can just see them, just filling this cocaine or whatever with fillers, chemicals, really bad stuff, that can kill me. They don't have any interest in me. They just want to take my money. They got my money, they're long gone, And here I'm going to be starting this stuff, getting sicker and sicker. I'm going to die. Just seeing myself get into convulsions on the ground. You know, that sucks. That's an awful place to be. Seeing your family members look at you, you know, compromising the people you love. Use your imagination, you know, to help you move away from that dump, that bad place. Use your imagination, conversely, to move towards a better place. You know, get organized, right? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? You know, what kind of person do you want to be? Start focusing on that, you know, and then use your imagination to help develop that, you know, grow it, right? Like you said, Santos, right? The mind is a garden, right? And we're planting seeds. Let's be intentional seed planters of good seed, right? Right? The right kind of seed, right? We have the power, right, of choice. We have the control of what we're going to be planting and what we're going to be growing. You know, we have the power. We have to have some confidence and, you know, some hope in that.
Exactly. There's so much deception in the casinos. You know, the more I reflect, and obviously society is trying to dumb us down. I believe that most of you already know that. Society, it's not society, there's certain individuals within society that are trying to dumb us down, because if they can dumb us down, they can control us. It's the same thing in the casino. The casinos are trying to dumb us down. They're very sophisticated in everything that they do, right down from the color of the carpet, right down to the color of the carpet. And if we're not careful, we will be dumbed down so that we can be controlled. And there's a lot of, you know, this whole era that we're in right now with this COVID-19. There's going to be some major changes. You and I are going to go through this, and we are going to be changed by this, whether we like it or not. So I choose to work on myself. I choose to change myself, at least keep working on myself, because if I don't, I'm just going to get swept away. Either that, or I'll go right back to the stuff, you know, to the muck and the mire, the mud. I'll go right back to that dark jungle that I came out of. And Automagic is asking the question, what was my turning point to finally get over that hump? Well, I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. First of all, I hit rock bottom. When you lose your home, when you lose your income, when you lose your savings, when all of that is gone, I mean, you begin to start losing your dignity and your sanity. I'm glad that didn't happen, because that's what goes next is your sanity, your dignity. And once that's gone, you know, life doesn't matter anymore. Most people commit suicide after that. Most people will commit suicide, or they'll end up in an asylum, drugged up on prescription drugs. This era for me has kind of given me more of a boldness to warn people. I kind of, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you know who Dr. Laura Schlesinger is. Some of you may know who she is. I just got the satellite. I was going to say the satellite radio prescription. It's not a prescription. It's a satellite radio inscription, or whatever it is. Anyways, I started listening to Dr. Laura, and she has been making a lot of sense to me. I do listen to certain female teachers, and a lot of people don't agree with Dr. Laura, but frankly, I really don't care what people's opinion are. If I sense that I can get something from an individual that I can draw from, and not everything, I don't agree with everything she says, but I'll tell you, she's making some major points about the time that we're living in. And it just causes me to really reflect on my life. And I'll tell you, I want to dig deeper. I'm sure, Jim, you feel the same way. I want to dig deeper inside myself. I want to know what I can do. I want to know how far I can go before I'm gone. I want to dig deeper inside because I believe that you all have, each and every one of you all have a greater purpose deep down inside. You may not be digging deep inside, deep enough inside yourself, but it's there. And like this question, I'm really answering, you just got to dig deep inside yourself and say, you know what, man, I'm going to pull out whatever it is that I have. And when you make a solid decision, when you marry a decision, when you divorce these things, these experiences, you divorce words, you divorce experiences, right? And you marry, you enter into a marriage with the proper words, with the proper experiences, with the proper rituals, and it's until death do us apart. And you have to be accountable in that area. You got to hold yourself accountable. This program really holds me accountable, and I'm very grateful for that. So I thank each and every one of you that come here every Sunday, and I truly hope that you are getting something. Like I say, squeeze the juice. Eat. If we're putting out filet mignon, I mean, I don't know if I'm putting out filet mignon, figuratively speaking, but if we are and it tastes pretty good, you better be eating it, my friend. Because that's what's going to help you, right? That's what's going to help you get stronger. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be doing this. So that's what happened to me. I started, again, I one of the key things that I talk about, and I'm going to be probably emphasizing this more and more, is your self-talk. I remember I used to get in front of the mirror and I would talk to myself. I would literally tell myself, Santos, you're not a gambler anymore, man. You're not. You're strong, and I didn't do this just with gambling. I had many fears. I grew up with a lot of trauma. When I first got married over 23 years ago, I was treating my wife like my father was treating my mother. I didn't see this, but after a while, I began to see it. You become, especially when you're a child, you basically start becoming you become the person, if your father's at home, your mother's at home, however they are living, you become that person also. You don't become them, but you become that type of you begin to display that kind of characteristic. And I remember one time I came home, my mom was crying. I don't know, I might have been 7, 8 years of age. And I remember I came home, might have been playing outside, and I came in and my mom was crying. And I said, you know what, Mom? When I get older, I'm going to buy a gun and I'm going to kill my dad. That's what she reminded me that I said that to her at one time. And I said, wow. And she said, no, son, no, you don't. That's not the way to think. But I had seeds already growing inside me at a very, very young age. And that's why at about the age of 13 or 14, I started playing craps with some of the older guys in the neighborhood. It was an escape for me. So that gambling seed was planted very early on. And again, I said this before, that when the casino started popping up, it was very convenient for me to just walk into a casino, because that seed that was planted it had already grown. So, the allure of money, the escape, it's still an escape for many people to go into a casino, or to inject that drug, or to smoke whatever it is, or to drink. It's an escape. It's a false escape. It's a deadly escape. It's a suicidal escape. Nevertheless, it's an escape. And so I hit rock bottom. To answer your question, I know I went a little bit long on that, Automagic. Thank you for asking that question. Lily, welcome to the program. Fuhrer 8, welcome to the program. I see you've got, let me see here, something. At 55, I was in a wheelchair, did 3 months in a hospital. Hopefully you're doing better now. Hopefully you're doing better now. I'm not too sure. So, we have to, number one, we have to really pay attention to what we're saying and what we're listening to. Because there's a lot of talk. Jim, there's a lot of talk going on right now regarding this coronavirus. In fact, there's a conspiracy theory that is not good at all. I don't know if you know about this. I'm not too much into this, but I was, as a YouTuber, I watched some videos. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of people are talking. What are you listening to? What are you listening to?
Yeah, I try to think about, what's going on. And I kind of think about what goes on out there is a test to help me think about, how I respond to things. I can take the viewpoint that everything out there is basically neutral. But the real important thing is how I respond to all this stuff that's happening. I can go and blame. I can go and become a victim. I can get angry. I can go and point the finger, or I can go and use it as an opportunity to kind of learn a little bit about myself and say, why do you act like this? Why do you point the finger? Why do you complain about other people? What's going on there? He says, well, why do you do that there, Jim? Then I start asking myself a few more questions that are deeper. It's like, well, that's strange. It seems like you're trying to avoid something. It seems like you're spending too much time pointing the finger at something else, and not really looking at how you're responding to these things. So, I guess, for me, by doing that, it kind of puts the responsibility on my shoulders. And I think if I can do that, I can go and become better. I can grow, in a more positive way, and maybe at least not be so angry, and not be so frustrated at what's going on. Because really, it's what really matters is, how we respond to certain things. Whatever happens is going to happen. Plagues have been going on throughout like civilization, right? Earthquakes, recessions, booms, busts, right? I mean, like, it's always, these kind of things have always been happening. The question is, how are we going to respond to it? How are we going to respond to it? So yeah, I like these opportunities to kind of think about, what am I going to do?
Exactly. I mean, it's an unusual time. It is unusual, and in the sense that, like you said, that we've had many viruses, and there'll be more. I'm sure there'll be more. We don't know the extent of this one that we're in. We don't know, but I've never been impacted like this. When I was in the military, I know Ebola or SARS was back, 15, 20 years ago. I didn't even know about these things because I was somewhere else. Today, it's a different day, and we definitely need to be more conscientious today and more vigilant because, again, it's a time for us to really take advantage. And I'm not saying this in a negative sense. I'm saying it in a positive sense. Now is the time. Today's the day to really reflect and see what is the best direction for us. And if we're struggling, that's even, I'm not saying this in a difficult way, but if you're struggling, it's a great time to really take advantage because this time can put pressure on you. This experience that we're all going through can put the right pressure on you for you to really turn away and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. And that's what needs to be said. You need to say that to yourself. And then you need to hold yourself accountable. I'm done. And how do you hold yourself accountable? You got to plug into something, whether it's a book, a good book that you continually use, a journal that, by the way, I'm going to be giving a couple of these things away. We didn't emphasize this too much, but 1 through 55, numbers 1 through 55, I want to give away one of our books. There's another one. This is a time where we really need to, and these are just little journals that I'm willing to give away. I've got a couple of these. I like the titles. Be bold. You've got this. This is the kind of language that we have to be talking to ourselves. I got this. I can do this. I know I can do this. You have to do the work in order to build that self-belief, because that's really the key, is building that self-belief. How are you going to build a self-belief? Through your self-talk, plugging into the sources, being close and drawing energy from people that actually are ahead of you. And I say this very proudly. I do. I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful. And I tell you, I've defeated gambling. I've crushed it. And, the thoughts still come at me at times. My mind tries to play little games with me at times. I call the mind at times the accuser, because your mind can be your best friend, but it could be your worst accuser. And you need to dominate what's going on up here. You absolutely, if you're going to overcome an addiction in your life, this is where it starts. It's not the addiction itself, but it's up here. It's the thought. It's the principles. It's the little laws that are operating inside your head. You need new legislature. Put it that way. we need new legislature. You know what I'm saying? We need to put a different. How do you do that when they submit a law? You got to pass it through Congress and all. You got to get all the signatures. Well, you don't have to go through that. You can change that law right up here as long as you stay plugged into the right sources. That law's changed, and your physical activity will automatically follow. You see, we're not trying to change the behavior. We're not trying to change the experience. We need to change what's going on up here first. And then we will be able to defeat just about anything we go through. And believe me, we're all going through some challenge, whether it's a business challenge, whether it's an addiction, a relationship challenge. Right now, a lot of people are scrambling because the money's not coming in, and this whole thing can become very, very worse. I hope and pray that it doesn't, but if it does, remember, the seeds that we're planting up here is going to produce the right harvest to affect your behavior.
Santos, thing that I can encourage the people here, I guess myself and I guess everyone, is when I realize that I'm in a frustrating situation, maybe a scary situation, uncomfortable situation, I like to go and tell myself, do what you can do and do the best you can do. Do what you can do and do the best you can do. And when I tell myself that, I start out small and I start taking action, okay, what can I do? I start doing it, and I focus on that one thing. And I try to do it the best that I can possibly do it. And when you do that, right, it starts helping you gain peace. It starts allowing you to gain confidence, and it starts building momentum. It's putting you in that positive mental state, positive emotional state. It's like a person's realizing that they messed up, let's say at the casino. Say, all right, what can I do? What can I do now? Okay. And you start thinking, all right, what can I do? What's the best thing I can do? Okay, all right, I'm going to give up my cards, my credit cards or debit cards or whatever, my money, bank account, to my wife or my husband, my brother. Okay. Taking action, little action, can just move you in the right direction, and it can build that momentum, and it could lead to something better, so never lose hope that you can move into a better direction. You start out small, but the point is, starting, taking that action, and you're just conscious of doing the best you can at that moment.
Exactly, and we're getting ready to end this episode here in a few minutes, and we're going to do a call to action. I'm going to give you the number one thing that you must do, okay, or that you must have in order to begin to transform. We're going to come to that. Most of you already know this. I'm just going to remind you. I'm going to keep you here on a cliffhanger for a minute because that sounded really good, right? The number one thing that you must do or have in order to begin moving in the right direction. So stay with me to the end here over the next few minutes. And you're right. You're right, Jim. This is what we need to be doing. This is what we need to be doing. If we do not know how this. We don't know, due to this pandemic, with the changes that are going to be made all over the world. Some people are going to be very grateful for the changes. We don't know how this pandemic is going to end. We don't know, but we do know that you and I have control. We have, just like Jim has been sharing, we have control. You have control over your mind. You have control over your circumstances. If you don't believe that, you need to really, really evaluate, because the moment that you believe that something else is in control of your life or in control of your mind, you're not in control. Okay. Even though you are, you don't believe you are. And we cannot go around talking like that. Remember, we mentioned self-talk. Man, this thing's got a hold of me. I've tried. I read a lot of comments and I hear people saying, man, I just can't get away from this. I just can't get away from this. The more that you say that, the less you will be able to get away from it. Start turning your language around. Instead of saying, I can't, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to find a way to turn this thing around. Right now it doesn't look good for me, but I'm going to turn this thing around. We have to change it here. I believe this is, well, number one thing that you must work on is your self-talk, because that's what's going to help you change and transform your life. That's what happened to me. I would get in front of the mirror and I would talk to myself. I remember when I was in front of these machines and I would talk to myself. I would literally, in my mind, I'm sitting there playing the game, but I'm talking to myself in my mind. And eventually what I was doing worked, because I'm no longer there. The mirror talk, the self-talk, writing, and hanging out with other people that were more positive than I was. In fact, I've hung out with many, many successful people that I've never met. I've hung out with them on video or on a webinar online. And some of these people weren't even talking about gambling. They were talking about other things. But I used what they were saying. I listened. I paid attention, and I drew. Like I said, I squeezed the juice out of it, and I made application for my own life. And I say, wow, I can fit this thing over here. This guy's talking about the topic of maybe how to discipline yourself in the morning. Had nothing to do with gambling per se, but yet I would draw from that and I would put it into my life, and I made things work, and I created my own rituals. And that's what's gotten me to where I am today. Rituals are making you the person that you are. Basically, if you're not taking a look at your rituals, then it's hard for you to determine the person that you are, because your rituals, what you do early in the morning and throughout the day and how you speak to yourself, is determining what is going on up here, and what is going on up here is determining your lifestyle. So, Jim, be careful with that, with the armory.
Yeah, that's right. You know it.
Yeah, my dad had a gun, and I remember when I was young, my dad was not a very smart man. In his way, he was very abusive. But I remember he had a pistol one time, and my dad was it's funny because my dad, he comes from a kind of a wealthy side of people, but yet he was very, very, he wouldn't spend, he was kind of smart in that sense. He wouldn't spend a lot of his money. So he's always buying, cheap stuff. And I remember he bought this pistol, or he got it from somewhere, and he had bullets, but one of the bullets would not fit in the chamber. So he drilled the chamber of the gun. I remember this. He was drilling the chamber to make it bigger to fit this bullet. And next thing you know, we heard bang, the gun went off. And, when we found out what he did, the gun went off. He could have shot himself, or he could have shot through. I think we lived in the second floor. We lived in a 3-story house. That bullet could have went through I don't know if it would have went through the wood floor. Maybe it could have, and it could have killed somebody. So that's why I say, you got to be careful with armory. But I don't think people do that nowadays. People are not drilling a bigger hole in the barrel to put a different size bullet in, But this is the kind of stuff that people do. People do some really dumb things. Anyways, Lord have mercy on my dad. So this is what we have, my friends, today. Think about your self-talk. Think about your rituals. Think about what will work best. We've shared a lot of seed. We've turned on the light on this program today. You must look at your situation and see what applies. What can you draw into this? And hopefully you're taking some notes. Hopefully. Mental notes. so that you can go forward, so that you can become your very best, so that you can go through this coronavirus unscathed, come out on the other end, and be a non-gambler or non-addictive to whatever it is that you may be addicted to, and come out fresh and clean on the other side, my friend. So I'm going to give Jim another opportunity to share if you want to say something else before we begin to close the program. And then I'm going to give you the number one thing that you must have so that you can transform.
That's right. So, yeah, always take advantage of opportunities that happen around you, this coronavirus, whatever goes in your life, and really think about how this is an opportunity to move you in a better direction, and just choose, choose hope, choose action, choose a better state of mind, choose better vocabulary, and you'll get to where you want to go.
Exactly. Thank you, Jim, for that. Let me see if we've got any numbers here. We've got a couple of numbers. We're coming down to the end of the program. I want to thank each and every one of you that have been here. I know you could have been doing something else. Once again, draw from this. I promise to help you stay free. I promise to help you get free and stay free. That's my ironclad guarantee if you'll do the work. I'm going to do my part. You do yours. Okay? Nobody guessed the number. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a chance here. Let me see. Let me double check and make sure that somebody didn't get the number. Suzanne says, thank you, Jim. Thanks, everyone. God bless. Evelyn's here. A little bit late, but nevertheless, I'm working on super fantastic, terrific, and over the top in spite of and because of Evelyn. Thank you. We believe and pray that things are going to get better. Yes, I definitely believe that. We just got to get through this experience that we're all going through. We will get through it one way or another. I think somebody got the Auto Magic. You got the number. Hey, you got the number. All right.
Ditto.
Number 32. I'm going to be sending you a copy. I'll put my little signature inside. There's be a little message for you in here. You need to go to soldiersofselfmastery.com and send me your email. Not your email. Send me your address or post office box so that I can send you this book. All right. Finally, I got somebody that. All right, my friends from around the world. Let me see what else. Okay, the number one thing. What is the number one thing? My friend, you got to really want it bad. That's the number one thing. You must want it really, really bad. It's a great time to make change. So that's all we have. Thank you, Jim, Tucson, Arizona. Remember to check out U-Moto Bikes. If you're interested in bicycles, what is it, Jim?
umotobikes.com, motorized bicycles.
An opportunity to pedal into a healthier lifestyle. So if you want to next time, actually, I was going to say, put your link. If you want to type your link in there, Jim, if you can type it into the comments, I'll post it up. Somebody might have an interest in looking at bikes. I think he's got some really cool material. And Jim will work with you. And I'll have to show a picture of the bike that I have that Jim sent me. I'll post that up on one of my videos coming up soon. Let me see. So go ahead and post it up, Jim. Thank you. And I am doing super fantastic, terrific, and over the top, my friend. My greets to Canada. I believe that's where you're at, Canada. So we're coming to the end here, my friends. And let's go forward from here, my friends. Let's make some great things happen today, Monday. The era of 7 days has come to an end. And we must begin a new era. It's going to be a better era of 7 days. So we'll see you again next week, Sunday, on Sunday Night Alive, Power Hour right here, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm your host, Soldier of Self-Mastery. I promise to keep you free if you'll do your part. Jim, thank you for being with us. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, Santos.
Bye now.
All right.